An Indiana farm has become the first to confirm publicly it suffered a second outbreak of a deadly pig virus, fueling concerns that a disease that has wiped out 10% of the U.S. hog population will be harder to contain than producers and veterinarians expected. The farm, through its veterinarian, publicly acknowledged on Tuesday a repeat incident of porcine epidemic diarrhea virus, PEDV, which has killed up to 7 million pigs and pushed pork prices to record highs since it was first identified in the United States a year ago. Matt Ackerman, whose veterinary practice is in southeastern Indiana, told Reuters the farm's operators did not want to be identified but authorized him to speak on their behalf. The state and federal effort to stamp out PEDV has operated on an assumption that a pig, once infected, develops immunity and will not be afflicted by the disease again for at least several years. Likewise, farms that had endured the disease were not known to suffer secondary outbreaks. But a year after the virus was identified, repeat outbreaks have occurred at farms but not been publicly confirmed before now. These so-called secondary outbreaks are a challenge to efforts to stem the disease, which is almost always fatal to baby piglets. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is fighting against repeated outbreaks by trying to extend immunity in female hogs through effective vaccines, Chief Veterinary Officer John Clifford told Reuters at the General Session of the World Animal Health Organization in Paris. "It happens and it could happen again," he said about secondary outbreaks of PEDV. "We need to practice good biosecurity, cleaning and disinfection, all in all out, in order to break the cycle and prevent its reemergence." Nationwide, PEDV outbreaks seem to recur in about 30% of infected farms, the American Association of Swine Veterinarians told Reuters, confirming for the first time the likelihood of repeated outbreaks. Hog futures reached a record high last month and are up nearly 25% at $113.75 per hundredweight since the first U.S. outbreak was confirmed last year. Retail pork prices also have set near records, and a wave of reinfection could cause even more losses to the nation's hog herd. In the Indiana case, genetic sequencing showed the exact same strain of PEDV hit pigs at the farm in May 2013 and again in March 2014, said Ackerman, who collected samples from the farm. Piglets born to sows that were infected for a second time have a death rate of about 30%. Compared to near total death loss among newborn piglets during the first outbreak, he said. The incidence of the disease rebreaking on farms after it appeared to have been wiped out, indicates that the risk for ongoing severe losses from the virus is bigger than previously expected. The lack of long-term immunity also means hog producers must keep up strict biosecurity measures to fight the disease, which has already spread to 30 states. The virus does not pose a risk to human health and is not a food safety issue, according to the USDA. Reasons for reinfection unclear. Veterinarians and others have been unable to predict the duration of immunity to PEDV in hogs following exposure, in part because the disease had never been in the United States before last year. Ackerman had thought hogs would have a natural immunity to PEDV for 3 years after being infected because that is the case for a similar disease called transmissible gastroenteritis. Just because a farm broke with PEDV last year doesn't mean that they are protected from rebreaking with it this year, he said in a telephone interview. Ackerman said he did not know why the female pigs, or sows, on the Indiana farm were reinfected after being exposed to the virus during the original outbreak last year. At the time, they were about 6 months to a year old. The sows are having piglets and passing limited immunity on to their offspring, he said.